Welcome to Master the Art of Networking. I'm glad you're here. If you're in sales and marketing, or you're an entrepreneur, or a small business owner, or anyone looking to connect with people, learning to network is an important skill set you need to develop and ultimately to master. So if that's what you're here to learn, I'm here to tell you, you're in the right place. Now, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, or a bit of both, the good news is becoming a master networker is a learnable skill. It's a series of behaviors that you can cultivate, you can develop that will allow you to engage with and connect with other people. Now, that's what we're going to spend a few minutes unpacking in this webinar. But for those of you who don't yet know who I am, let me quickly introduce myself and let you know who's sharing and the guy behind the slides. In case you don't know who I am, let me introduce myself very quickly. My name is John Terry, and I'm known as the Black Belt Leader. What do I do? Well, you can see my accolades there on the screen, but whether you're learning how to master your life, your leadership, your communication, your mindset, your career, or you're helping your organization master your productivity, your sales and marketing, or your team building, I and my team do one thing. We help people become black belt masters at whatever it is that they do. I believe every single person has been put on this earth on purpose, for a purpose, and has been equipped to fulfill that purpose in the earth. Sadly, far too few people go inside themselves to discover what they've been put on this earth to do and cultivate and develop the skills and talents and abilities they have to be able to be that black belt leader in life that makes a difference. So for today, if you want to become a black belt master networker, you're in the right room. So let's turn our attention to the things you need to know to up-level your networking results. Let's first answer the question, what is networking? By definition, networking is defined as the interaction with other people to exchange information and develop professional or social contacts. Now, think about that. Networking is defined as two things: interacting with other people to exchange information and to develop professional and social contacts. So based upon that definition, let's think about where we're going with networking. Networking is an intentional strategy for meeting with and having conversation with other like-minded professionals who are looking just like you to promote their company, their ideas, their products, or their services. Now, there's two common ways that we see professionals networking today. One, in-person networking, where we're going to spend a lot of time talking about today, such things as industry events, civic or community events, and through online networks such as LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Zoom rooms like you're in right now, or other social media platforms. We've seen this really proliferate throughout this COVID-19 pandemic that we've been dealing with, and it's still a viable way to network. But while online networking is a very effective way to market and to make connections that you can turn into networking partners, the skills I'm going to share are interchangeable, and I want to focus more on those in-person connections in this training. Now, why should you mingle? Walking into any new venue can be intimidating. You don't know anybody there, and they don't know you. That is reason enough for many people not to want to mingle and not to learn to network. One of the reasons many people avoid joining and participating in networking events like BNI or Rotary, or even being a member and an active member of your local chamber. But remember this: these venues, Rotary, Chamber, Civitans, Kiwanis, other groups like that, are organized for this reason: getting like-minded individuals just like you in a room with other individuals so that they can learn what you do, you can learn what they do, and together you can share opportunities to work with one another. Now, the benefits of networking should be obvious at this point. Other people who are in business have customers. Hello. And if their customers can benefit from what you have to offer, and your customers can benefit from what they have to offer, ladies and gentlemen, there's an opportunity to add value to everybody's customer. Where I learned and what I teach in negotiation, that's what we call a win-win. It also works in networking. When you have customers that can benefit from what someone else does, they have customers that can benefit from what you do, everybody wins in that scenario. So this can be a very powerful strategy to grow your business. Now, there's other benefits of networking as well. You can learn to hone your communication skills through networking. Why? Because you have the opportunity to work on your listening skills as well as your speaking skills. Now, side note, under the training tab on my website, beablackbeltleader.com, you're going to find training on how to improve your listening and your speaking skills. So after this webinar is over, be sure and check those resources out later, and I'll remind you again at the end to do that. But for now, remember this. Networking is all about communicating and connecting with other people you can help who can also help you. It's a reciprocal relationship. Now, networking also allows you to expand your team, and I think this is a cool, often overlooked benefit of networking. Anytime you can add somebody to your team, anybody you can connect with, an individual who has the opportunity to make introductions on your behalf or refer or connect you to other people who want or need what you have to offer, you've just added them as an unpaid member of your team as a salesperson. Now think about that. If they like you and they like what you do, and their clients can benefit from that, and they take the opportunity to tell their clients about that, they just become an unpaid member of your sales team. Now, you also get the opportunity to join their team because, again, in networking, it's reciprocal. You're going to offer referrals and make introductions to them, to your clients who may want and need what they have to offer as well. And of course, one of the other major networks of benefiting networking is it's going to increase your influence. Having the opportunity to make your pitch before other like-minded business owners or entrepreneurs or business professionals who may be in a networking session gives them a chance to ask clarifying questions to better understand who you are and what you do so they can best support you. And through this personal interaction, you get to establish yourself as an authority figure, as an expert in who you are and what you do. That only elevates your status in the decision makers who are trying to determine whether or not they want to introduce you to their customers. Now, when it comes to networking, you always need to think about the benefits of networking, but also what can it do for you? Because the benefits of networking can be many. The obvious benefit, we've already touched on that, is the opportunity to market who you are, what you uniquely do, and the audience best served by your product or service to others who can make introductions on your behalf. But networking can do more than that. Some of the additional perks of becoming a master at networking include the opportunity to build and strengthen professional and personal relationships, an opportunity to open new markets and new opportunities, to gain the commitment of other people who want to help you grow and expand your business. There's also an opportunity through networking to share tips, tools, resources, and ideas so others can learn from you. And by asking good questions, you can learn what's working for them and emulate some of their successes in your business if it makes sense to do so. And networking can also increase your visibility and your referral network, because unless somebody else knows who you are and what you do, remember through some of my other trainings I've shared with you, you're invisible. Now, let's think about some networking options, like where to network. Now, in most communities here in Hot Springs, where I live, is just typical of any American Community Day. And I've had an opportunity to travel and work and speak at networking functions and industry functions across the country and around the world. There's a number of places right in your hometown you can connect with others and have an opportunity to network. So let's name off a few. We've mentioned a couple of them already, but let's visit them again. Your local chamber of commerce. Virtually every town of any size has one. There's an opportunity there to connect with other business owners for the purpose of what? Growing your business. Typically, there's a Rotary. There may be a Kiwanis, a Civitan, Knights of Columbus, or other civic or community groups that you could be involved with. Another great place to network. BNI, Business Network International, BNI.com. You can go to BNI.com and look and see if there's a local chapter in your area. And if not, you could apply to start one. Or depending on the industry that you're in, if you're in real estate, banking, medical, dental, other networks may have industry groups that meet in your area. Now, just because it's an industry group doesn't mean it's not open to other individuals that bring complementary services that may support their clients, their customers, and their patients. So keep in mind that those industry groups can be a unique opportunity to network that maybe you haven't considered before. Now, looking at some online sources, you may want to check out meetup.com. It's not a dating site. Meetup.com is a place for people to connect in a business setting. There's eventbrite.com, where events are posted that you could participate in, and community.com is another third-party place to go. Of course, there's always LinkedIn and Facebook networking groups that you can join. There's also LinkedIn and Facebook events that are going on you can participate in, and you're always free to start your own Facebook or LinkedIn group and build your own private networking group on either of those platforms. Now, when it comes to networking, it's also important to think outside the box, because what I've shared up until now, those are probably pretty obvious to most of you on this call. So let's take our thinking about networking one step farther, and let's go outside the box for just a moment. Why not get outside of your current business market and connect with affinity groups, such as those industry groups we just talked about? Maybe that's something you haven't considered. It's a great way to get in front of folks who might be already working with the type of customer you prefer to work with. That could introduce you to your avatar, that ideal customer client you want to work with, because they're working with them too. Thinking outside the box could also mean going to and networking with people involved in putting on sporting events, book clubs, or hobby groups. These are often overlooked. Keep in mind that these unique niche groups, these affinity groups, all have like-minded people involved who all share a mutual interest in sports, in reading, in golf, in sewing, whatever it may be. Now, these groups are often fiercely loyal and very supportive of those in their niche. So if you can find a way to connect with those groups, or one of the hobbies that they have is a hobby you want to cultivate and develop further, there's an incredible way to connect with them, add value to them, and remember, because they are so loyal and so supportive of each other, they will become your unpaid sales force once they know you, like you, and trust you. Now, when it comes to networking, it's okay to get creative, and I've already hinted at it, but I'm going to mention it again. Why not create and host your own networking events? Create your own networking group on Facebook or LinkedIn or Alignable or any of the other platforms that are out there. Invite prospective influencers and connectors who have complementary business models to yours, that work with the same type of customers, clients, and patients that you want to work with, and invite them to work with you. If you set the group up and you lead the group, talk about an influence booster. You're going to boost your status. You're going to boost your influence, especially if you invite these other influencers in and you can help them connect with other people in the group and start the process of sharing those customer relationships. So let me encourage you to, after this webinar is over, to take some time to think about and get off somewhere with a piece of paper or your iPad or something to make notes on, and think about some not so common places to network that you could have an opportunity to creatively create on your own. Now, when it comes to networking, you need to have a plan. And the best way to succeed when you're networking is to show up with a plan that you've created for what you want to accomplish and commit to that plan. You want to ask yourself questions like, what do I hope to accomplish or walk away with? How am I going to add value to others? What constitutes a win for me at the end of this event? How do I help other people that I want to work with me get a win as a result of meeting with me? Those are some powerful questions that you need to think in to your plan. Now, from there, you want to consider the following steps in identifying a course of action when you're going to go to a networking event. Number one, you want to get very clear on your goals and objectives for what you want to accomplish. Number two, you need to determine specifically what your ask is when you're going to meet with a potential networking partner. You got to know what you're going to ask for, and you want to be very specific. And then you need to decide if formal or informal networking works best for you. So now that we've kind of looked at some ideas, let's take a look at how to pitch your idea, your product, your service, your company, or you to someone else in a networking event. So when you attend networking and someone asks you what you do, how do you respond? They want to know who you are, who you serve, what problem you uniquely solve, or what outcome you uniquely create for your clients with your product or the service that you offer in the marketplace. But sadly, far too many people, when asked that very simple question, what do you do? Whether a networking event or you're standing in line at the grocery store or the department store to check out, they can't clearly and concisely articulate this. So what I commonly see, and I do this a lot with people just to see how they respond in teaching communication, speaking, and coaching and training, oftentimes I'll ask people, tell me what you do. And here's what I often see. They stammer, they stutter, or they get quiet. Sometimes they say, well, it's a little complicated. And then they go into this long-winded diatribe that they endlessly ramble on and put me and probably you to sleep in the process. You need what I call a power positioning statement. Now, what's a power positioning statement? It's a 60 to 90-second overview of who you are, what you do, and how what you do can benefit other people. You want to pique the individual that asks you the question, what do you do? You want to pique their interest. And after you share your power positioning statement, you've got their interest and you want them to look back at you and say, John, that's interesting. How do you do that? Now, if you don't know how to create a power positioning statement, I'm going to share with you at the end a free resource that can help you do that. But if you don't have one, let me tell you right now, you need one, and you need to craft a compelling message to let people know who you are, what you do, the audience you serve, and the benefit to their customers if they introduce them to you. Now, your power positioning statement needs to be concise. As I said, it needs to pique the interest of the person that you're speaking to so they lean in and they want to learn more. Now, when you're thinking about a power positioning statement, remember your message should tell other people specifically what I just shared. And I want to echo it again because it is so important you get this down. Your power positioning statement needs to tell other people who you are, the audience you serve, what problems you help them solve, or what outcome you can create for them, how what you do is unique and different so that you stand out from your competitors, and the benefit to their customers if they introduce you to them. What you're essentially answering is the question they haven't asked when they say, hey, John, tell me what you do. They're asking the question, why should I pick you? And why should I introduce you to my customers? So think about that. Now, let me share a quick resource that's going to be available to help you there. I created an asset that's going to be beneficial to help you in your business. In the courses tab of my website, beablackbeltleader.com, you're going to find a complimentary training called When the Mic is on You. In this training, I'm going to teach you how to put together a power positioning statement, and I'm going to provide you with a downloadable blueprint for you to craft your own unique attention-getting message that works and gets people to ask, how do you do that? So where do you find it? Go to beablackbeltleader.com, and you're going to go to the courses tab. And when you go to the courses tab, you're going to see a series of different course offerings that are available. You want to look for the image on the top of the screen if you're watching this by video, and it says Master Communication. When you click on that image, you're going to see an image that says when the mic is on you. When you click on that image, it's going to take you to an access page where you can access that complimentary training and download that free blueprint resource. Now, creating your power positioning statement is only step one. So once you've got that pitch down and you have got it on paper and you've worked it through to where it feels comfortable, you've got to take the time to perfect that pitch and you've got to make it yours. Many people will work on a power positioning statement, but they'll never internalize it. As a result of that, they never are able to articulate it when they're asked, tell me what you do. It's no different than going out and spending $100 for a pair of Ray-Ban sunglasses and never putting them on when you go outside. Think about that. Spending big money to go buy a pair of sunglasses that can protect your eyes and you never put them on when you go outside. But if you create a power positioning statement and you never internalize it, you never make it a part of who you are. So when asked the question, it just naturally flows out. It's no different. So you need to practice presenting your pitch. Start with presenting it to yourself, looking in a mirror, so you can watch your body language as you're delivering it. You also want to practice with family and friends who can give you some constructive feedback. But the key is to perfect this pitch so it feels natural and it sounds natural, conversational to the person you're sharing it with. Because if it sounds rehearsed or awkward or forced, guess what? It's going to fall flat and it's not going to have the impact that you want. But if you follow the power positioning statement framework in the complimentary training I just shared with you, you're going to be able to create a clear, concise, conversational pitch that you can comfortably deliver in 60 to 90 seconds. Now remember, I'm going to say it one last time, your power positioning statement needs to reflect who you are, who you serve, what you do, and the advantage and benefits of their customers working with you. You've got to deliver it in your voice, and it needs to be delivered in a relaxed conversational tone. Now, also important to remember when networking, up to 93% of your communication is nonverbal. Now, what do I mean by that? Nonverbal, things other than the words that you are speaking. So you need to be very conscious of the nonverbal message you may be sending to others. If you're making a statement you want someone to say yes to and your head shaking no, there's a disconnect between the words you're saying and what your body's saying. So here's some tips to be conscious of the nonverbal messages you may be sending. When you're having a conversation with another individual at a networking event, or anytime you're having a conversation, you should be standing in an open, welcoming position. Your arms shouldn't be folded or in any way given the impression psychologically that you're shutting the other person out. Because when we cross our arms, we're sending a subconscious message. I don't believe you. I'm not interested. I don't want to hear what you have to say. Now, if you're going to use your hands to gesture, make sure you're not pointing at the audience and creating this very awkward or threatening motion with your hands. If you're going to be talking, hands up, and use those relaxed and not overly wild gestures. Make them intentional, but natural. The goal here is to be relaxed, to maintain an engaged, active expression to indicate your interest. Pay attention to the other person. And in doing so, you're going to show them that what they're saying is interesting and you are participating in the conversation. And don't forget the handshake. Hand engagement and a grip is important. You want your grip to match that of the other person that you're greeting. If they greet you with the dead fish handshake, you don't want to squeeze with the vice grip handshake. That creates a scenario of dominance that will cause them to pull away from you. Match their hand engagement and their grip. And if they're not comfortable handshaking, give them knuckles, give them an elbow, whatever is comfortable for you and those that you're around. And don't forget, you're there to be firm, to be confident, but friendly. The power of a smile can't be understated. A smile can get you a long, long way when you're networking. Now, always keep in mind that networking is a two-way street. You're not just there to present your pitch of your business, your ideas, your products, and your service. Everybody has come there to do one thing, to network. Everybody there is trying to find a way to connect with other people who can help them grow their business and expand their reach and their influence just like you. So when you meet new people, ask them what they do and who's a good fit for their product or their service. Be intentional about doing that first. Ask them who their avatar, their ideal customer is. And then as they share, pay close attention. Ask clarifying questions to better understand their business model, the problems they solve, the outcomes they create, and how their products and services could potentially benefit your customers and clients that you work with. Your goal is to identify whether or not you can help them in some way and whether or not they're going to be a good fit to help you. And as you understand more about their business, you're going to be able to identify if the type of customers you want to reach are also in their network. Now, when you are proactive in asking them first, you're engaging the law of reciprocity. Because when you show interest in the other person first, and you take the initiative to do so, psychologically in the brain, it triggers a reciprocal desire for the other person to want to learn more about you and your business. Now, when you engage first and you ask the questions to interview that individual as if you want to join their team as an unpaid sales member to introduce your clients to them, you're going to be remembered because you took the time to ask about them first. You ask the clarifying questions that shows you want to understand their business to be able to explain who they are and what they do to your customers. And in doing so, you have become the most interesting person in the room because you've shown interest in them. Now, also remember in this, when you are engaging the law of reciprocity, if you add value first, other people are more willing to allow you to subtract value from them as they're willing to do something for you if you make the initiative. Now, again, what we just talked about really ties into this particular slide right here, because some of the best networkers I've ever been around are fantastic listeners. Master networkers ask great questions. And I just spent a little bit of time talking about what that looks like. Great networkers listen intently. They ask those clarifying questions to really take the time to get to know the other person and their unique offer and their needs for the type of customers they want to serve. As a good listener, what are you doing? You're establishing trust. You're making an emotional connection and you're building mutual understanding between you and another person. Now, this is how you engage the laws of influence, and this is how you develop a strong, mutually beneficial networking relationship with someone else that you can support, who can also support you. So a couple of tips to make sure you come across as a good listener. Ask an open-ended question of the person you're talking with that can't be answered with a simple yes or no. Be an active listener, and if you got a pad and pen, take some notes. And after they finish sharing, reply with a summarizing statement to make sure that you understood what they shared with you. So as you're sharing it with your audience, you're able to properly articulate who they are and what they do. Now, the goal here is to keep the other person talking, because open-ended conversation, open-ended questions, clarifying questions allows you to learn more about the other person, their business, their needs, and their offer. As a result of that, you expand upon the law of reciprocity, and they're going to do the very same thing for you, but they're going to be more intentional about it as a result of you being intentional first. So here's some open-ended questions you may want to think about. Tell me what you do. Again, that opening statement that we want to know. And then as they begin to share, some follow-up questions can be such questions as, what makes it unique and different? Who's the audience that you serve? What does your ideal customer look like? What audience do you not serve? And if given the choice, what customers would you prefer not to work with? Now, when it comes to working with your customers, what problems do you solve for them? What outcomes do you create for them? And here's a really good one. How would I best introduce you and your business to someone who could be a potential customer for you? Now, the goal in all of this is to get the other person talking about their favorite topic, and that's themselves. They're going to feel valued because you've done that, and you're going to be valued and appreciated. And they're going to leave that event saying that that was the most impactful conversation they had all night. Now, remember this. If you want other people to be excited about you and your offer, you've got to be excited about them and their offer first. Because where, as Tony Robbins says, where your focus goes, energy flows. And if you're actively engaged with the other person, they're going to actively engage with you. On the other hand, if you're distracted, you're not looking the other person in the eyes they're talking, you're not leaning in, you're not nodding in agreement, you're not asking clarifying questions, you're not sharing summary statements, you're sending a signal that you're not interested. You're looking at your phone, you're looking at your watch, you're looking around the room, you're telling that person, I wish you'd shut up talking so I can leave. And if they're not a fit, maybe that's what you need to do. But if this is a person you want to engage as a networking partner, you've got to be intentional about being excited and paying attention to them. If you want them to pay attention to you, you got to pay attention to them first, because you reap what you sow. And you also want to understand that you're there to create a reciprocal relationship for the mutual benefit of you and the other party. It's going to take some time to build out that all-important know, you, like, you, trust, you rapport with other people. So you want to make sure that you don't share your ask too early, or you don't want to make an ask that puts the other person in an awkward or uncomfortable position, or even not even knowing whether or not their customers would be customers that you would want to do business with. Easy way to remember how to handle this: treat the other person the way you want to be treated. Now remember, you want to add value before you subtract value. And networking is all about finding common ground where you can mutually support one another. Now, when you're first connecting with somebody, you don't yet know if that person and their business is a viable candidate to be a complementary referral partner for what you do and the customers you serve. So you may not want to begin to ask them to make introductions if their customers aren't going to be customers that can benefit from who you are and what you do. You want to get to know the other person first. So you want to be careful what you ask early on until you make sure there's a right fit. Networking is about getting to know people. So go slow and do it right. But once you do meet up with somebody at a networking event that is a potential networking partner, don't forget the fortune is in the follow-up. Now, if you've committed to do something for the other person, make sure you write that down on a piece of paper, make a note on your phone, put a reminder on your calendar, do something to make sure that you follow through. You want to be a man or a woman of your word. Now, it's a good idea to follow up with that networking connection within 1 to 2 business days of connecting at an initial event together. Because if you believe the relationship is worth cultivating and developing, again, you need to be proactive. So maybe you invite that individual to breakfast or lunch or coffee. Maybe you go out and connect with them through social media and start a conversation there. Maybe if you got their phone number, you call or text them and offer an opportunity to meet. Maybe you send them a link to your calendar so that they can schedule a meeting based upon a time that works good for them. Or maybe you send them a small gift, like a sample of your product or an opportunity to sample one of the services that you offer if it's appropriate and applicable. Now, if the person that you initially connected with follows through on their end, you want to make sure that you do a quick review with them the next time you're together so that you are very clear on how you can best serve their audience and how they can best serve yours. You want to be very clear on those specific steps. You want to have a clear idea of how you can help the other person and how they can help you. You want to continue to develop and cultivate a high comfort level with each other, because the more comfortable you get with each other, the more you're going to build that important bond of trust that's going to be essential for this to be a long-term, financially viable relationship where everybody wins. And you want to make sure that that individual is committed to fully supporting you, and you are fully committed to supporting them. Now, the key to any fruitful networking opportunity, relationship, whatever you want to call it, is building a strong personal relationship with your networking partner. It's not just about you help me, I'll help you. There's a personal relationship component to any good networking team. Friends are more willing to help and support friends than strangers. So you want to build some level of friendship and some level of personal connection with somebody that's going to be a network partner for you. So if you want your network to serve you well, you need to make sure that you're building and cultivating a relationship with that person. So here's a couple of ideas there. Connect with your networking partner initially on a consistent and regular basis. Maybe that's once a week as you get started. And as you get things going and you get into more of a comfortable routine and you're sharing customers and they're sharing customers and this relationship is working, maybe you can back that off to every couple of weeks or once a month. But the goal is to never stop regularly getting together, even if it's just for a few minutes on a phone call or a Zoom call or chatting through social media, grabbing a cup of coffee or a Coke, or having an opportunity to engage just to continue to grow and cultivate that personal side of the relationship. Because remember, the key in networking is to have a relationship that's going to assure a continued flow of referrals and introductions that goes both ways. And if you've done all of that, you're off to the races. And now you're ready to start cultivating, building, and developing those networking relationships. Now, as I begin to wrap this training up, I'm sure you've already thought of some individuals who may be good networking partners for you. You may have also thought of some groups or organizations that you want to explore to see if they're a good fit for you and your business. And I've now given you a framework to start connecting with those potential network partners and cultivating those relationships. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to put a plan into action. Now, here's what I do know. If you don't act on what I've trained you on today within 72 hours of hearing this training, nothing's going to change for you. So my challenge for you is this. What is your action plan? And what are you going to do in the next 72 hours to start discovering, developing, and deploying those incredible networking relationships and you going down the path to becoming a black belt networker? So let me leave you with a few free resources to help you take action in the next 72 hours. I put together, and I've done a previous training on a very powerful course, very well received, even had Fortune 500 organizations that had an opportunity to have members of their staff listen to this and give me some very positive feedback on that. Now, this is how to be an effective listener. This is a free resource I want to make available to you so that you can learn how to hone your skills as an effective negotiator, because good networkers are good listeners. And by the way, good leaders are good listeners too. So in this complimentary on-demand training, I'm going to teach you the practical principles of effective learning. And I've already shared this complimentary on-demand training where I'm going to teach you how to create your 60 to 90 second power positioning statement. I'm going to provide you with a blueprint where you can craft your own unique power positioning statement. So when you're asked, hey, tell me what you do, you're going to have a ready response, whether it's a potential networking partner, a prospective customer, or someone just curious about who you are and what you do. Now, where do you find these resources? Again, let me encourage you to visit my website, beablackbeltleader.com, go to the courses tab, and then you want to click on the image that says Master Communication. You'll find a number of resources, free and paid resources there, but you want to specifically look for the free resource, How to Be an Effective Listener, and the free resource, When the Mic is on You. Now, I trust you found our time beneficial, and I want to thank you for being a part of this event. My goal was not just to teach you how to network, but to give you the tips and tools and resources to start you on your journey to become a master networker. Now, if you apply what you've learned with black belt excellence, and what I mean by that, every day becoming a better networker than you were the day before, you're on your way to becoming a black belt networking master. And who doesn't want more introductions, more referrals, and more opportunities to grow their business? I want to say thank you to our sponsors, Vision Advisors, Hall of Fame Financial, Rocket Fuel Design, the International Martial Arts Council, the United States Martial Arts Hall of Fame, and Real Life Management for sponsoring today's event. I'm John Terry, the Black Belt Leader. And if you're not receiving my free weekly Black Belt Leadership blog and we're not connected on social media, you'll find information on how to subscribe to my blog and connect with me on social media under the contact tab of my website. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe to my free weekly podcast on anchor.fm, or you can also visit the Black Belt Leadership YouTube channel. Now, in all of these social media resources I've shared, I'm continually sharing tips, tools, resources, and trainings, just like the one you just participated in, to help you master your life. They're free resources available to give you an opportunity to grow yourself as a Black Belt leader. I'm John Terry, the Black Belt Leader, and I want to say thank you for joining me today. I appreciate your time and involvement. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me via my website. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.